Hello, I'm Nima Rajan. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says he's planning to call Parliament back for another sitting to pass more measures to help the Canadian economy through the COVID-19 pandemic. He says approving perhaps the biggest social program in Canadian history needs to be a team effort. Conservatives have pointed out that the emergency legislation that Parliament has already passed didn't allow for the scale of the wage subsidy program that the Liberals are promising to help employers keep people on their payrolls. Meanwhile, Conservative finance critic Pierre Poilievre has taken to Twitter to point out that the Liberal government's enhanced wage subsidy program is not covered by the bill passed in the House of Commons last week. Mr. Poilievre is now calling for Parliament to be recalled in order to, quote, salvage the government's wage subsidy promise. Federal Finance Minister Bill Morneau is expected to update Canadians 24 hours later than initially planned. Now, it's no joke that on April 1st, rent payments are due for millions of Canadians. Hundreds of thousands of Canadians have signed petitions asking for the cancellation of rent and mortgage payments for the duration of the COVID-19 crisis. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says the banks have been asked to give people a break if they need it, but he's not calling for cancellation of payments outright. Multiple provinces have placed a ban on evictions. Now, both Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Conservative leader Andrew Scheer say they will be donating their automatic salary increase, which kicks in today, to charity as the COVID-19 pandemic ravages the economy and puts thousands of Canadians out of work. Today, we'll also see the latest increase to the federal carbon tax. And while the PM has been under pressure to cancel both, he has ruled out scrapping the carbon tax bump and says there's nothing he can do about the salary hike without Parliament being in session. Now, across the country, medical professionals continue to sound the alarm that they don't have what they need to protect themselves and treat patients during the COVID-19 pandemic. Public Services and Procurement Minister Anita Anand has already announced that 500 ventilators are slated to be added to the national supply, and tens of millions of N95 masks are expected to be delivered this week. The search continues for 4,000 more ventilators, and the government is allocating upwards of $2 billion to ensure more protective gear can be bought for the healthcare industry. Well, meanwhile, Canada and the countries that lost citizens when Iran shot down a commercial airliner aren't accepting COVID-19 as an excuse from Iran. The countries and families of the dead are waiting for Iran to hand over the flight recorders of the Ukrainian jet on which 176 people died, including 55 Canadians. Former Liberal cabinet minister Ralph Goodale tells the Canadian press that Iran has already missed one deadline. Earlier yesterday, Mr. Goodale was named a special advisor to the Trudeau government into Iran's downing of the jet in January. The appointment follows complaints last week from the frustrated families of some of the Canadians killed in the crash that COVID-19 is detracting from efforts to hold Iran to account. Now, the financial and industrial sectors led a broad-based decline as Canada's main stock index plunged at the start of trading today, while U.S. stock markets also fell. The TSX was down 411.47 points at 12,967.28. The Canadian dollar traded for 70.57 cents U.S., compared with an average of 70.49 cents U.S. on Tuesday. Now, in the United States, the White House is projecting up to 240,000 Americans will die from COVID-19, even if social distancing measures are followed. These projections also suggest that if no social distancing measures were put in place, up to 2.2 million Americans would have died. Dr. Anthony Fauci says he's hopeful that mitigation efforts will limit the death toll in the U.S. These projections came out of a White House briefing where U.S. President Donald Trump released his 30-day guidelines for battling COVID-19. Well, moving to Japan, where Prime Minister Shinzo Abe says his country is banning entry from 49 more countries, including Canada, the U.S., and China. Travelers from a total of 73 nations are barred from entering Japan. Minister Abe says visitors and returnees from countries where non-essential trips are permitted will now face tightened visa restrictions and a 2-week quarantine. Due to concerns about the economic impact, Minister Abe continues to resist demands that he needs to declare a state of emergency. A senior Saudi official has urged more than 1 million Muslims intending to travel to Islam's holiest sites to delay making plans for the Hajj this year due to the coronavirus pandemic. In February, Saudi Arabia took the extraordinary decision to close off the holy cities of Mecca and Medina to foreigners over the virus, suspending the smaller year-round Umrah pilgrimage. Restrictions have tightened in the kingdom as it grapples with over 1,500 confirmed cases of the new coronavirus. And moving to New Delhi, where police have filed a criminal case against clerics of an Islamic religious sect for organizing a gathering last month in violation of COVID-19 safety measures such as social distancing. The group has also been booked under India's Epidemic Disease Act that restricts religious gatherings, and organizers could be punished with 6 months in prison. India has 1,238 confirmed cases of the new coronavirus, including 35 deaths. Now, a pastor in Louisiana charged for holding church services in violation of a state ban says he won't stop. The measures against gatherings of more than 10 people are in place to prevent the spread of COVID-19. However, Pastor Tony Spell says if stores can be open, why can't churches? He says his congregation does not pose any more of a COVID-19 threat than the hundreds of people crammed into a Walmart. Now, while residents of a town in North Wales continue to practice social distancing in the wake of the coronavirus outbreak, some animals have decided to fill the void. A man has been posting video clips of a herd of mountain goats that have gathered in the town of Llandudno. The images were captured by Andrew Stewart, a video producer for the Manchester Evening News. The shots of the goats frolicking on the deserted streets have racked up hundreds of thousands of views on Mr. Stewart's Twitter feed. Well, that'll do it for today's news update. I'm Nima Rajan. Thank you for joining us, and I'll see you next time.